Hey everyone, and welcome to Mini Scroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. My name is Annabelle, and I am your Wednesday Mini Scroll host, and also the deputy editor of the youth digital media brand Centennial World. I hope everyone is having a great week since I last spoke to you guys. I have spent the first half of my week recovering from seeing Charlie XCX at a festival on the weekend. She was genuinely so good, and I can't stop thinking about her performance. So I am anxiously waiting for more TikTok videos from her festival run here in Australia to show up on my For You page. But other than that, I don't really have much to say this week other than please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and let's just get right into the stories. So the first story I have this week, to be honest, is not really tech, but it is kind of political adjacent, and I have just really been wanting to talk about it. And this is what happens when you give me an opportunity to host a podcast. We need to break down everything that has recently happened with Jack Schlossberg. Firstly, if you are unfamiliar with Jack, he is the grandson of US President John F. Kennedy. And other than being part of one of the most prolific US political dynasties, he has gained popularity among Gen Z for his unhinged social media posts. And also, he was Vogue's political correspondent during the campaign last year. Through his posts, it was clear that his online presence was a departure from the traditional image of the Kennedy family. Past generations have really maintained a polished, statesman-like public persona, whereas Jack kind of leaned into the chaos. The social media post in question could really be anything from comparing himself to Audrey Hepburn to making videos during the 2024 US presidential campaign, essentially trolling now Vice President J.D. Vance.
Hi JD, it's me, Jack. I'm at Kamala HQ and I miss you. And I was just thinking about you and wondering why you refused to accept the results of the 2020 election. That's bad, JD. Bye.
No matter how eccentric much of his content was, social media users really loved it, and you would see his comment sections flooded with comments like, "This man has no drafts," or "This man has never had a second thought," because truly his content was so chaotic. And aside from really building up his online presence last year, whether it be for the right or wrong reasons, he has completely pivoted. Last week, he deleted all of his social media after posting a rather cryptic message on X that read, quote, "I'm sorry to everyone I hurt. I was wrong. I'm deleting all my social media forever. It's been fun. Thanks anyway, everyone." So the reason why I wanted to report on this is to cover some of the theories floating around online as to why he spontaneously deleted his social media presence. And the first theory is a little bit techie, so it felt like it fit in mini scroll tech a little bit. With that preface, some users claim that his decision to delete his social media has something to do with censorship, especially as the internet and its platforms move further and further to the right. I don't think this is necessarily the reason why Jack left the platform, but I do think it's an interesting point to consider. Over the past few weeks, there has been a lot of conversation around censorship on social media, with many people on the left side of politics feeling the need to speak in algo speak more frequently. We covered that here on Mini Scroll when I spoke about the cute winter boots trend, but I haven't necessarily thought about this shift in terms of platforms essentially deplatforming figures that don't push out their agenda. While I don't think we are necessarily there quite yet, I definitely think it is something to look out for if social media platforms continue sliding further and further towards one end of the political spectrum. Aside from the discussions around censorship, there are three other main theories that are probably more likely. The first is around mental health and burnout. Given the intensity of the US political climate at the moment, it's entirely plausible that Jack simply needed to disengage. Many political commentators and public figures have stepped away from social media after prolonged exposure to online criticism and hostility. And of course, the pressures of being a Kennedy, especially one actively engaging in political discourse, could have exacerbated that need for a break. And I think it's totally acceptable for anyone, especially with everything going on right now in the political space, in the digital space, to need to take a break, whether you're a public figure or not. The second theory is his political ambitions. So this theory is basically that Jack is scrubbing his digital footprint ahead of a future campaign run for some type of elected position. This does make sense because his posts, while entertaining, could be a liability if he ever sought office. And the third theory is that his departure from social media has come off the back of a feud with an American political commentator named Megyn Kelly, and this appears to be the most immediate trigger. Jack posted a video to social media where he criticized Megyn Kelly's beliefs.
Hey Megyn Kelly, it's me, Jack Schlossberg. You insulted me, and so I'm just checking in, starting a dialogue, seeing if you're okay. The two genders rule must be tough, and stop attacking trans people. You do it for a living professionally on your show. I don't really get that. I don't get what makes that so fun for you.
And then on February 5th, Daily Mail writer Maureen Callahan wrote an article essentially calling Jack self-absorbed and privileged. Many people have said that this article was quite savage. Jack later tweeted angrily about the journalist and the host, and then he left social media. As of the time I was researching this, he hasn't returned to the digital space, but he did appear on Jen Psaki's podcast, who is a political commentator and a former government official of both the Obama and Trump administrations. Regardless of the reason behind his exit, Jack's trajectory really shows us that political figures engaging with social media in an era where virality is king is definitely a double-edged sword. Whether this is just a temporary break or a strategic rebrand or maybe just the end of his online persona, it shows us that no one, Kennedy or not, can operate while being so chronically online forever, even if it helps energize young people. So thank you for letting me talk about Jack Schlossberg, because I was deeply invested in his content last year. But let's just get back to the tech world. So the next story I wanted to touch on was that Roblox, Discord, OpenAI, and Google have come together to establish a new child safety group. I'm sure that everyone listening to this podcast is at least familiar with OpenAI and Google, but Roblox and Discord may be a little bit more niche. So if you are unfamiliar, Roblox is an online games platform that allows users to play games that they've made or games by other users. It's typically known as a platform that is dominated by Gen Alpha, but I will say that older people do use the platform, including myself. I have been known to play a game of Dress to Impress or two. And according to 2023 data reported by The Verge, more than half of the platform's users are older than 13, and the platform's fastest growing demographic at the time of this report was users between 17 and 24 years old. Okay, so we've got Roblox covered, and Discord is of course popular among gaming communities and is a voice, video, and text chat app where people can join different servers around specific interests. It is also popular among younger users. This coalition of Roblox, Discord, OpenAI, and Google have established the Robust Open Online Safety Tools Initiative, or ROOST for short. It was unveiled at the recent French AI Action Summit. So the goal of ROOST is to essentially make safety technologies more accessible to companies by providing free open source AI tools for identifying, reviewing, and reporting child sexual abuse material. Over the first 4 years, ROOST has secured more than $27 million in funding from leading philanthropists and major technology companies. Something like this has been a long time coming and will be super important to prevent danger for children online. As Jess Weatherbed writes for The Verge, quote, "The ROOST announcement comes amid a huge regulatory battle regarding child safety on social media and online platforms, with companies seeking to appease lawmakers with self-regulation methods. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children reports that suspected child exploitation increased by 12% between 2022 and 2023. In this article, Weatherbed continues by noting that platforms like Discord and Roblox are particularly culpable because of their young user base, pointing specifically to a California lawsuit that was filed in 2022, which claimed that platforms failed to stop adults from messaging children without supervision. When it comes to Roost and Roblox specifically, according to reporting from Fast Company, quote, "Among the tools Roblox has developed is an open source AI model that analyzes audio clips to detect profanity, racism, bullying, sexting, and other disallowed content." While I do think that this is a solid step forward, especially with many tech giants on board, I will say that much of the information around the initiative is rather vague. I will give this a little bit of slack because it is such a recent announcement, but based on what we have so far, I will say that relying on AI moderators is good, but not foolproof. Though much of the commentary I've seen so far around Roost has been positive, I have seen a couple of comments from users, particularly on Blue Sky, saying that they hope this initiative won't decrease human moderators, who often play an important role alongside AI when it comes to detecting concerning behavior on these platforms. My last story for today is about Elon Musk and OpenAI. I don't really want to bring up Elon Musk every week on this podcast, but I fear there has been some updates that are worth discussing today. I will not be getting into all the Doge discourse, which is the Department of Government Efficiency, or, of course, the meme, but we're not getting into that today. So Elon Musk has made a bid to purchase OpenAI, which is obviously the company behind ChatGPT. Elon Musk, alongside a team of investors, submitted a $97.6 billion bid to purchase OpenAI earlier this week. You may be thinking that this isn't exactly out of character for Elon Musk, considering he did buy Twitter, but there is another layer to this bid. As reported by Brian Heder for TechCrunch, quote, "The unsolicited bid is the latest escalation by Musk in his war with co-founder Sam Altman, with whom he co-founded OpenAI with numerous other individuals back in 2015. If you're unfamiliar with this, Elon Musk ended up leaving OpenAI in 2018, and from memory, it was a little bit around conflict of interest stuff with Tesla, but also differing visions for the company. OpenAI has become extremely valuable since then, not just on the generative AI front, but also it is working to develop its own chips, which is essential for innovation. Since leaving, Musk has become embroiled in a legal battle with OpenAI, making things harder for the company to move from a non-profit to for-profit company. Quote, "The Musk-led team is positioning the move as a bid to refocus OpenAI on open-sourced AI, as was its initial aim," Heder continues for TechCrunch. I will just add for context that OpenAI has called Elon Musk's legal claims as baseless and overreaching. But besides all this, in the Sizzle newsletter, Cam Wilson adds that Elon's move to buy OpenAI is also an attempt to make it, quote, "harder for OpenAI to lowball its own value as part of its planned transition to a for-profit company, which would presumably have big tax implications." As you would expect after hearing all of this back and forth, Sam Altman did refuse the offer. He took to X and wrote, quote, "No thank you, but we will buy Twitter for $9.74 billion if you want." I will just say his response was a little bit cheeky, given that he said Twitter instead of X, and also moved the decimal point in Elon's bid for OpenAI just one space to the left. I worry we cannot get through 1 week without the tech bros fighting it out. Anyway, that is everything from me for today. I really hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe once again. We are on the journey to 1K Spotify star reviews, as I say every week at this point. But I will see you next Wednesday, and Lauren will speak to you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.